I'm live now. Yes, I'm live now.
Perfect. I'm live too.
Yes.
I'm an invite.
Let me see.
I sent it already.
Yes, I will see it in a second. Yes, I've seen you. Fantastic. Good. We are good to go. It's connecting.
I'm waiting for you to see me.
Yeah, your internet seems a bit slow on that end. It's showing waiting, which means the internet is slow on your end. It should have connected by now. If it goes off, you will request again, then I will. And we were just getting to the very interesting part.
Into the meat of the matter. Some people have to switch from Instagram and talk to this other one, Facebook.
We lost it. So make a request again, please.
It says invitation expired. Can you please?
Yeah, so you make a request again. Once you are in, I'll let you in. Yeah, that's all. Just make a request again. That's all. Because I don't want them cutting us off again if you have time.
Okay.
So many people have joined already. Okay, I think I can see you. So I hope you connect.
It says my request wasn't sent.
No. So I added someone else instead of you. I can see you right here. I can see Oriyomi.
Perfect.
How are you? Yes, this is perfect.
Okay,
Yes,
so
so
let's keep. I wanted you to cover as well in your response. Do you think PMB will be the last general? You know, you were talking about the military.
so the military are in control. I am not sure if it will be. You see, my theories sometimes sound crazy. I will not be surprised if in the next 1 year, some people start shouting that Buhari has not finished his work and he should not go. I don't know if you heard me.
I did. I did.
Aha.
I did.
I can see you went quiet. People think it's unthinkable and it is impossible, but we shall see. Some people, it might not be Buhari himself, but some people will say Buhari is doing well. It's better we let him finish what he is doing, and that's how it will start.
So let's
We'll
go
see.
back to June 12th. The relationship between Abacha, Abiola, and IBB, and also the allegation that MKO actually said to them to go and invite Abacha. Is that true?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I always talk about what I knew and know, and not what I imagine. I know there was a particular army general from the south who was always calling Abiola. And I've said this publicly before, and the general challenged me, got angry and everything. But I know this for a fact that he was the go-between between Abiola and Abacha. Also, I am aware that there were meetings held at the instance of this southern general. There was a meeting held in Abiola's house because I was arrested the day after. This would have been July 30, 1993. I was in Abiola's house from 2 p.m. Chief said I should come at 2, and I did not leave him until after 4 in the morning. He was busy in other parts of the house. I didn't know where the meeting was held, but I knew he was in the building. But he said I should wait for him, and I waited till I was the last man in the house. That was the same night that Mayor Akipelu had his bachelor's eve at La Campagne Tropicana on Adeni Jones. I will never forget that day. When Chief came to me finally at about 4 a.m., he had wanted me to deliver some documents to Tell magazine. Tell, they were on the run at the time, and so they were publishing from the bush. But I knew where one of them was staying, around Akuwonjo, Mr. Kola Ilori. So I told Chief I will hand the documents over to Mr. Kola Ilori, and he said that was fine. So he came with the documents and gave them to me. He now walked me from the living room to the stairs where I will go to my car. So when we got to where he was going to turn back, he hugged me. And then he pulled, he likes to do that. When he wants to whisper something, then he pulled my ear and whispered that I should please forgive him that he has kept me waiting since afternoon. That he had some people in the house and they had a very important meeting. And then in whisper, he said, I am their commander-in-chief. I don't know who they were. He said, I am their commander-in-chief. So, but in retrospect, my analysis was that he was in touch with some people who had persuaded him that Abacha needed to intervene to clean out the Babangida boys from the military, and then they will give power to him. That is no longer a secret. Everybody knew about that. In fact, everybody knew something was going to happen. It was a question of when it will happen. So I was not surprised when Abacha struck. Now I will tell you my involvement again. How I knew that something was planned, but something else was executed. You know, there is planning and there is execution. What was planned was that they needed to take out the Babangida boys while the Abachas would take power temporarily and then give it to Abiola. Maybe we were naive. That is possible. But there is a Yoruba saying, if you cannot buy a lie, you can't also buy the truth.
But you know, you are expensive, God, sir, as we see today.
Yes, but it happens. But what choice do you have? The military is in charge. They were in charge.
So there was a plan, but the plan
the military was absolutely in charge. Even Babangida says that they threatened to kill him if he gave it to Abiola. You understand?
Yes,
so,
sir.
My own involvement was that I think the coup was November 17th. It must have been a Thursday. Abiola was away from the house. He was staying somewhere off Allen Avenue during the time of the coup. He had left the house. So, but apparently he was waiting for the news and the message that would be released by Abacha. I believe that some people had written a speech that Abacha was supposed to read, but which he failed to read. That was the first alarm. When the first alarm blew was when Abacha came and he was entrenching himself at that stage in power. he was no longer talking about Abiola getting his mandate. So Abiola came back from where he was. He came back to the house, I think on Friday afternoon. Then he called a meeting on Saturday night of his very close friends. And I remember the people who attended the meeting. I was there. There was Alhaji Dele Momodu. There was Professor Femi Agbalajobi. There was Alhaji Shukwadetono. Unfortunately, they've all departed this world. There was Miss Iyabo Ababa, who is the younger sister of Dr. Doyin Abiola, and I was there that night. Abiola was visibly angry. He was angry. And he told his friends. But the friends, I remember one by one how they responded. They told him, he said they must fight Abacha, that Abacha had deceived them and they must fight him. And one after the other, his friends advised him that you cannot fight Abacha. And what were the reasons adduced? One of them said, don't let people say you are a troublesome man. You fought Babangida, he left power. You fought Shoneka, he left power. If you start fighting Abacha now, some people might see you as Alasheju. So another one said he believed Abacha would do the right thing. So Chief asked him, what right thing would he do again? He said, that Abacha is a pro-democracy soldier, that from the speeches he made in the last few months, it showed clearly that the man loves democracy. Yes, I witnessed this. That was the stage at which Chief then asked me to go that night to go and get him all of the Abacha speeches in the last couple of months. So I went out, I had to go to the library. I went to one of the places I used was the Tel Library. I went there, and then by morning, Sunday morning, I brought the speeches for Chief. By the time I got there, he was having his breakfast at Dr. Doyin Abiola's apartment. So he asked me to go and wait for him at his own apartment. So I went and waited, and when he came, he took me in to the bedroom. I said, sir, I've brought what you requested of me. And he said, thank you. Dele One. You know, he likes to call people, you know, by nickname Dele One. He said, Dele One. And then I gave him the documents. Then he said, the matter has passed, matter of document. I said, what happened, sir? He said, have you heard? I said, heard what, sir? You know, when you work for big people, you know, they are prone to many gossips coming around them to tell them all sorts, true and untrue. I said, have I heard what, sir? He said, you haven't heard about Baba? I said, who is Baba, sir? He said, Baba Ganakin Gibe. I said, what happened to him? He said, Baba has left us. I said, I don't understand, sir. Baba left you where? He said, Baba says he's joining Abacha's
That was his
government.
vice president.
His vice president. Yes, he told me directly that Baba had left us. So I said, Baba left you how? He said, the man has agreed to work for Abacha. Oh, I said, no, Chief, don't listen to such rumor. That, you know, at your level, people will come and... He said, no. That he has confirmed that Baba is gone. I remember one of Baba's friends, Alhaji Kola, very, very popular Lagos man. The name will come back to me in a second. Called while I was with Chief in his bedroom. The man called. And they spoke briefly and then dropped the phone. Then Chief said, I'm sure Kola is calling to find out if I have heard. You know, and then he told me another one that broke my back finally. He said, have you also heard that Ebino is going? I said, which Ebino? He said, Ebino Topsy. That's Chief Ebino Abatope. I said, how can you believe that Uncle Ebino will join a military government? He said, Ebino is gone. So I just, at that stage, you know, when Yoruba say Mufidijale, I followed my talks to the ground. I just gave up that. Oh, wow. And what the military did was they dismantled all Abiola's feathers one by one. They were just removing, so he would not be able to fly. When they removed, Abiola was an eagle without feathers at that stage. They were just removing his feathers all around him. And he knew him, and it was coming at the speed of light. Everything was happening at supersonic speed, like that, you know. So I asked him, so what are we going to do now, sir? He said, I don't know. He said he has called a meeting for that evening in his house. And that at the meeting, they will take a decision. It was at that meeting that everything finally collapsed. Abubakar Rimi, Baba Gana Kingibe, Alhaji Lateef Jakonde, every one of them agreed that they were, can you please take this thing off? Then take it out. You know? So that night, they all told him that they have decided to join Abacha. That if they don't join Abacha, the Yaradua boys will take all the positions. I will call it one of Chief Abiola's saddest days on earth. When you see your own trusted lieutenant all telling you directly, frontally, with straight poker faces, that we are going. That was the end. But we didn't want to agree, but for me, that was the end. So they advised Abiola to go and see Abacha, that in fact, he should make sure that he fills Abacha's government with his own people. So when you fill Abacha's government with your own people, what then will happen to you, the leader?
Yeah, and that's why I was going to take my next question, sir. Was it wise for MKO to have declared himself president? What led to that? And what were the realities around that scenario that many of us do not know? You know, Uncle, the reason I'm having this conversation is that a lot of my people in my generation don't even know what June 12 is about. We don't hear all the stories.
I don't blame them. We don't teach history in our schools. I don't blame them. You understand? I don't blame them at all. Abiola could not have done it alone. Abiola was a consummate Democrat. Abiola believed in people, consultation. He was not a tyrant. He wasn't a tyrant. Abiola was a man. If someone like me, I can't remember what was my age at that time, in 1993, you know, I was a young boy, 33. And if I could play some role at that time, it tells you the kind of person, you know, that he was. He was advised. I'll take it further. After the Abacha thing, he said he must get his mandate back. You know, he went to see Abacha one evening. He would have gone to see Abacha even straight from that meeting, but it rained dogs and cats. I'll never forget that also. It rained heavily, so he couldn't go. So they now shifted the meeting to the... That was the one that Chief Bola Tinubu went with him. The pictures are everywhere. You know, they went to see Abacha together, but Abacha didn't say anything positive. Abacha by then had consolidated power. He had picked General Dia as his deputy, and you know, he had many of his ministers from the Abiola camp. So Baba Gana Kingibe was gone, Rimi was gone. He picked Chifolu Onogorua, picked the former publisher of The Guardian, Mr. Alexi Brew, took everybody away. So what was left for Abiola was to fight in the wilderness. And I remember, just a minute, please. So I remember when he wanted to start fighting them. I was in prison July, August. I was in detention, rather, at the Alagbon detention camp.
Wow.
So after they arrested me, because that morning when I got back home from where I went to drop the documents he gave me, I didn't know I was already being trailed by the police.
And that was because of your close relationship with him?
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't know why they picked on me, but I believe they thought I knew a lot. Do you understand? So anyway, he started fighting and we were supporting him. Then you remember that he also ran away from Nigeria. By the time he ran away, that was in August, I was in detention. I was so excited that he had escaped and I didn't want him to come back to Nigeria.
This was 1993.
Was that for as long as he was alive, he would be able to reclaim his mandate. But there were people, that's why I told you that they tricked him into coming back. And I knew the people who were involved in that thing. They were negotiating with him. You remember the day he arrived in Nigeria, they even allowed, I think he came on Lufthansa that day, they even allowed his plane to land at park at the presidential wing of the airport. They were giving him presidential treatment. Yeah, they gave him
sir.
Yeah, myself, Tokumba Yomi Tokumba was coordinating a lot of things that day. You know, they allowed him, he came out in the open jeep, waving all the way to Ikeja from the local airport. He went from local airport and we went to Montreal Abiola Crescent, and it was very presidential. You know? So that was how they tricked him into Abacha taking power. They were the ones behind the scene who were doing that. You know, they just used Chief Ernest Shoneko as a stopgap. You know, Chief Shoneko was there for about 3 months. It was just so they were planning all these things, how the military will come back. So they were just looking for a fall guy, and they picked on Chief Shoneko as their fall guy. But there was a general who was working closely with them. So after the people now went with Abacha's government, anyway, so let's fast forward again, so as not to take all your time.
Yes.
Chief Abiola started fighting. He started fighting. What could we do? They started Nadeko. I remember the first meeting I attended with them was at General Adeyinka Adebayo's house on Ladipo Bateye in GRA Ikeja. There was a meeting there and all the big wigs came, and then they gave Abacha an ultimatum. I think this was also another funny drama. It was a melodrama. They gave him an ultimatum. If he does not hand over to Abiola, there will be trouble. You see, when you give an ultimatum to a military man, what he expects of you is to have a superior firepower. We didn't have it. The ultimatum came, the ultimatum expired, nothing happened. Abacha took over fully. He went on a blistering attack against the politicians. That was when he started picking people up, arresting people, and people were being named and all that. So that took a whole 1 year to the next anniversary, the first anniversary of the June 12 crisis. 1 year. In between, I traveled, I think, around March, because Chief Abiola said, hey, I got married December 92. And here I was in crisis, I was in detention. So he felt guilty that he had not even allowed me to enjoy my wife. So go abroad, go and stay for a few weeks, then come back later. So I traveled with my wife, you know, and thanks to Umbuka Bagbena, he gave us a flat very close to Chief Tinubu's house on Cavendish in Regent's
London.
Park. So that's where we stayed. We had a good time. We came back. My wife was pregnant with our first baby. As soon as we came back, of course, we came straight into trouble again. You know, everything was just, yes, someone said melodramatic. It was a whole load of melodrama. And then by the first anniversary, Abiola was advised by those left with him anyway. A lot of the Afenifere leaders and all of them were, by Abraham Adesoya. You know, all of them were with him. They stood like the Rock of Gibraltar. You know, the Ayo Adebanjos, the Adeyinka Adebayos, and all them. So anyway, we started planning on how that June 12th first anniversary will be marked. That was what led to Abiola declaring himself. So part of the advice, I remember even meeting some people from the American embassy at the time in Luka Obegbina's house. They were suggesting that Abiola must be able to fight to reclaim his mandate. That was the general theory. But there were a few of us, like myself, people thought we were cowardly, but that was not it. Because I knew we had nothing to fight with the military, unless we had someone who would intervene on our behalf. There was nothing else we could do. But someone like me, someone like Prince Ademola Adeniji, who were of the opinion that under no circumstance must Chief be arrested. But some people thought otherwise. So he declared himself the Petedo declaration. I didn't go with them. So he declared himself, and from there, he disappeared into thin air for about 13 days. There were speculations about the different places he had to go at that time. But since I was not there, I will not be able to speak to that. But what I can speak to was the day he came out from hiding. I was part of the operation. We went to bring him out from Senator Wahab Dosumu's house somewhere in Surulere that day, from where we went to the Shita playground, where he addressed the crowd. From there, he drove back to Moshood Abiola Christian, and that was the night he was arrested. So when we got back, by the time we got in front of Water Parks on Tony Street, we saw so many police, numbering maybe 600 or more. And it was obvious they were waiting for Chief, but they didn't make any move to arrest him. The theory of the Nadeko people was that Chief should have a human shield around himself, that the police will not be able to arrest him. They were talking about the Iranian Revolution and all that, you know. So we drove in to, it was an open jeep provided by Prince Ademola Adeniji. So we drove in to the Moshood Abiola Christian, went in with Chief. I went upstairs. Then he said, Dele one, go and change. Because before that time, we had been planning how we would bring him out for about 48 hours, you know. And so I went home to freshen up, came back. By the time I came back, the police had surrounded the house. And I didn't have a phone. There was no phone, like I said, at that time. So I went to a business center on Allen Avenue, put a call through to Chief at home. And then when he was connected, he said, Dele one, please just go back home and stay with your wife. I'm told they are coming to arrest me at 1 a.m. But I don't think Sonny can try it. Oh. That was the last statement he made to me on earth. He never believed that Abacha could arrest him. But by the following morning, the news was everywhere that he had been picked up.
What a story. What role did the international community play in all of this?
It's always difficult to know what the interest of the international community is. In retrospect, again, there were those who believed that America was not totally in support of Abiola, and that, in fact, all leaders in Africa always take instructions from the international community. They control Africa. And they knew that Abiola might not be easy to control. Don't forget that he had championed the cause of reparations, that America and all of them should pay heavily a reparation for the destruction of Africa, for slave trade, and that's one of the reasons we traveled to Senegal together in 1992. It was a very big movement, And by now, if Abiola was alive and he was president, I'm sure he would have pressed further for reparations, and these guys are not ready to pay for anything. So in retrospect, I believe they were part of the conspiracy. And if you look at even the manner of his death, the day he died, who were the people with him? Why did he die in their presence? What happened? Till tomorrow, nobody can explain it.
I was also going to ask about the media. A lot of your friends, and you were one of them, played a lot of role in the whole movement before June 12th, post June 12th, up to the death of Abiola. What was the role of the? Tell us some of the stories of the media. What was his name? Babafemi Ojudu's, the Temple, and mention some of the names to us. What key roles did they play? What were some of the things we should remember? What were some of the roles before we didn't even go? And then take us in that journey into how you then exiled and then Radio Kudirat and all of that. Please take us through that journey.
Well, it would be impossible for me to talk about everybody who played a role. So many people.
No, that you are familiar with in media.
So many people were arrested. Many people were detained. Some people even lost their lives. Tempo played a major role. You know, Tempo came out of a fight between Abiola and some of his staff at the African Concord. And they were able to have one of the best magazines ever, the News magazine, out of which they also created the Tempo. So the Tempo was their guerrilla response to a despotic military government. Mr. Bayo Nonuga, Babafemi Ojudu, Dapo Olorunyomi, Kunle Ajibade, you know, and the rest of them, they were all at the Temple, and they were being chased up and down, but those guys, they remain heroes forever. Babafemi Ojudu nearly lost his life in detention. Kunle Ajibade was in detention with Chief Bola Ige. Anybody they suspected could take on the military ended up in prison. Tell magazine suffered their own. You know, you had Nosai Gebo, Onome Osipo Whiskey, Dele Momodu, Dari Babarinsa, you know, the Saoyilola and others. They really suffered for Nigeria. A lot of newspaper houses were shut down. You know, the Punch had always been in the forefront of struggles in Nigeria. We must salute their courage. It's a miracle that the Punch is alive today, because they wanted to obliterate the Punch completely out of the surface of the earth. Of course, the Concord newspapers took a major hit. They shut it down forever. Till today, the Concord never recovered. The bakery, Chirabella had Wonder Bakery within the premises of Concord. The place was shut down. All the machines went rust. All the flour for bread. The military, they destroyed Nigeria. They destroyed Nigeria. So people died. So many people died.
And your part in that process, as also with your media background, leading to your escape and then Radio Kudirat.
Yes,
and then
in my own case, I was writing. You know, after my arrest, they charged me for sedition. A case that was virtually non-existent in our laws, you know, but they charged me. That's what they do. They pick you up, just find one spurious excuse to throw you in the dungeon. So coming back, I had to tread more carefully so that they would not, you know, but all I limited myself to was still writing. I never stopped writing. They told me not to go to Abiola again. I went to Abiola. That one, nobody could do anything about that, you know. So they threatened, and my family was worried. As I said, you know, I was a young man. I didn't have a child at the time June 12 happened, you know. So it was after Chief Abiola's arrest that I had my first child, and I escaped Nigeria even before my first child was 1 year old. We lost everything. We had to start life all over again. when I finally made it to England, So they accused me of being one of the brains behind the pirate radio station called Radio Freedom initially. The Radio Freedom was changed to Radio Kudirat after the assassination of Alaja Kudirat, Abiola. So, but I didn't know anything at that stage. At the time they accused me, I didn't know. But when I got into exile, I just believed that, that kind of thing. So the editor tutorial nominee padà fẹ́, the thing I was alleged to have done. So why don't I find out more about it? So I linked up with the Kayode Fayemis, George Noah, Richie Dayo Johnson, and I was handling the Yoruba program for the radio. I had a pseudonym, like a false name, Saliu Elenu Boro, Eniolorun Opa. So that was my anytime I was broadcasting. I think we were on a shortwave frequency from a Scandinavian country, but I never traveled to the country. I was operating by telephone from London.
Mrs. Aoreni was talking about a pendulum edition you wrote before you went into exile. Do you remember what you wrote about?
I wrote too many things. It will be, I'm sure it will be in my collection. I have 2 collections of books on pendulum as at now. There are more coming.
Fantastic. I also wanted to find out what role did the Team Society play, in particular the Nadekos and our leader Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Could you tell us some of the things? I also heard that Asiwaju was responsible for financing.
I met Chief Tinubu in exile. And no matter what anyone will say, and this I've said it many times, and it's unassailable, that Tinubu was one of the most committed people in Nadeko. He spent every penny that he had. He was one of the few people that if we ran into difficulties, you could run to at any time. So when I see a lot of young people attacking him, abusing me, I always tell them, Chief Tinubu was not a poor man. At that time, I'm telling you, many, many years ago, I'm talking of history of 25 or more years, 26 years. Chief Tinubu was not a poor man. The same house where he lived when he was in exile in Regent's Park is still the same place he lives to today. It's a flat. I can tell you that for free. Same place. And he spent his money. Lieutenant General Alani Akinade was another man I will never forget. He spent his money so much, even at a point he sold his house in Totteridge. He had a house in Totteridge. There was Commodore Dan Suleiman, who almost died. He was our chairman, Commodore Dan Suleiman, and he was not even a Yoruba man, the man could not even pay his mortgage. The man had a stroke while we were in exile. People suffered. There was Dr. John Oyegun Odige. Yes, he was a prominent member, the former governor of Edo State. There was Pastor Tunde Obadan, who was his deputy. He was also part of us. Pastor Obadan was part of us in Nadeko. There was Professor Bolaji Akinyemi with us in exile. We had so many people who suffered. Honorable Wale Oshun, there's no way I can forget him. We were all there. And once in a while, they would hold meetings. Of course, Tokunbo Afikun-Yomi had left before me. He was the one who showed me the Nadeko route, what I needed to do, the passport I needed to carry, where to go, where not to go, So, and we will meet at a place off Edgware Road called the Quadrangle, which was owned by Lieutenant General Akinade, the famous Quadrangle. So, Kayode Fayemi was the one coordinating Radio Kudirat. Brilliant young man at the time, very, very brilliant. He had his PhD in military strategy, so it was very, very useful. At some stage, other people also escaped. Nosai Gebo escaped from TEL. Bayo Onunuga escaped from the news, and we were all meeting. Dr. Yomi was out. We had Ike Okonta, one of the finest writers. You know, he was studying and also writing for us when we started. Of course, there were other contributors who were living in America, like Sunala Olumese, Onukaba, Dinoyo Joe. You know, we had many people from all across the world, Remi Oyeyemi, so many people. It would be impossible for me to remember everyone at once. But Radio Kudirat, you had two people who were managing it, you know, George Noah, Richard Johnson, then there was an engineer. I think it was a Mr. Johnson, as he is late now, who was also, he was the technical person staying in the Scandinavian country where they were operating from.
Tell us about your escape out of Nigeria and perhaps, you know, the dramatic. Let's have some dramatic step by step of what happened then.
Well, I had gone to see Chief Segun Oshoba in Abeokuta. So I was coming back.
What was Chief Oshoba's role?
Oh, he suffered. He almost died. In fact, it was because in London the day Abacha died. He was the one who finally broke the news to me. I had heard rumors that Abacha was dead, but I didn't believe it until Chief Oshoba called me. So Chief Oshoba had always been my media godfather. He was a man I wanted to be like. When I arrived in Lagos in 1988, I was living with a friend, you know, Segun Adegbeson, and he had this album of Ebenezer Obey that I Obey sang for Chief Segun Oshoba. You know, what was the title now? Abatakpa Oshoba Yidaraba Olusegun, Awo Felix Adenaike, Awo Peter Ajayi, Awo Funlola Okunawo, Ẹ̀gbọ́n Bukola Okunawo mi, àti Bade Ojora ọmọ Àpáṣà mi. And every morning I used to play that album. That God, I want my life to be like the life of Segun Oshoba. That was my dream. And I mean, that's why today he remains my godfather. I love him to bits because he did what most people could never have done in journalism. He was every editor's delight, probably the greatest reporter ever in Nigerian history. So anyway, so I'd gone to see him, and I got to Lagos, and on my way home, I met my wife, who said I couldn't go home, that some 4 people had come to tip her off that I should go into hiding because Abacha was going to arrest me and charge me for treason. And you know what that meant. So I had to go immediately underground. I went to stay with some friends now. It's safe to say it. I went to stay somewhere on Cafe, close to Alausa. My friend, the
Ikeja.
In Ikeja, yes. So the Orolugbagbes had a place there at the time. So I moved in. We called it the bunker, named after Saddam Hussein's bunker, you know. So I was in hiding. And then I contacted a great mentor of mine because I never planned to leave outside Nigeria. Fortunately, I had my passport outside. I didn't keep that at home because I already had a premonition that anything could happen to me. So I had my passport and I had a multiple visa to the UK. But I never planned, and unknown to people, as close as I was to Abiola, people thought I was just collecting money. I didn't have money. I was one of those people. I was not on the salary. I was not on anything. If he sent me to go and spend money on anything, I would make sure that I had proof of who I paid and exactly how much I paid. Because having worked with a lot of very powerful people, I know there are always bad people who will try to tear you apart by gossiping about you. They will tell him, oh, Dele is just eating your money or something. So I was very careful. I was extremely careful. And that's why till today, I remain close to the family. So nobody will say Dele was a gold digger. I was never a gold digger. So I didn't have money to travel. So I contacted this billionaire. I'm eternally grateful to him, who took the risk of releasing some money to me immediately, the money I used to escape. Then my friends, led by Bengalu lawyer. They were in London, so they also contributed money. Young people, very young people, most of them would probably have been in their 20s at the time. And so that was how I got 3 people, led by my brother-in-law, now also of blessed memory, Captain Rotimi Seriki. He was a pilot with the Nigeria Airways in those days. There was Kunle Bakare, who was with Fame magazine, and there was Bola Orolubagbe, a good friend of mine. He's a businessman in Ibadan now. So the 3 of them.
Is that Mr. Sheyi's brother?
That's Sheyi Orolubagbe's brother. Yes, the older brother. So that was how we had been doing things together with Sheyi, with Lagbaja. Yes, I didn't remember to mention the role of Lagbaja. Between me, Lagbaja, and Prince Adeniji Adele.
Lagbaja the musician?
Lagbaja the musician, yes. Lagbaja did a lot. A lot of people didn't know.
Please tell us about some of that.
Yes, he was working with us. Lagbaja was working with us in the bunker. We used to come to the bunker. It was Lagbaja who released an album, a secret album, where he was able to do a modulation of Abiola's voice from a keyboard. Yes. Adam go no, say we the suffer. Aso Rock is different from Olumo. Adam go no, Adam go no, say we the suffer. Aso Rock is different from Olumo. And then you will hear a voice of Abiola as if Abiola was speaking from prison. But everything was manufactured by Lagbaja. The voice and everything. I don't know the technology he used. Even that time, Lagbaja was that advanced in technology. And so he did a voice for Abiola. And it sounded like Abiola, my good people of Nigeria. And then, so we made, Chief Ebenezer Obey also made contributions. People didn't know at the time that, in fact, if they had found out it was Chief Obey, maybe they would have killed the old man. We used he had a studio somewhere, I think around Agege side, where we went, I think the Cross Records or something. I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, don't forget that Chief Obey and Chief Abiola also, they owned Decca, which became Aphrodisia. So they were partners in the business of music recording and all that. So it was Chief Obey. Even the money that we needed to pay, when I took the money, they said no, that Chief Obey said we should not pay. So we were able to distribute the cassettes and everything. Unfortunately, in my exile years, I lost a lot of these things. I don't know if Lagbaja still has a copy. I will ask him if he still has a copy of that thing. So we did our bit, but a lot of people say, "Oh, we're doing nothing." Those who sat in the comfort of their homes will still abuse us today and say we did nothing. But trust me, I didn't waste my adult life. I am very, very, very proud.
Your youthful life as well.
Oh yes, in our time there was no internet to abuse anybody. We didn't have internet. We didn't have anything. You had to go and face bullets on the street. Yes.
I want to move quickly to labor union and Kokori, and there was a story. I don't have the details about how they shut down the economy with a strike. Afsat was talking about how
I think Kokori was in charge of Tengasan. He was the leader of Tengasan. And he was an extremely brave man. He was an extremely, I'm sure I have his book somewhere in this library. He played because once you shut down the economy, part of the strategy of Abiola was, once you shut down the economy and make the country ungovernable for the military government, there will be pressure on the government, either to relinquish power or for another government to take over and hopefully hand over to Abiola. But every strategy we tried failed, unfortunately. So about my escape, I got those 3 people, and I just dressed casually like a farmer going, to his farm. So we drove to Semeboda, parked somewhere, and then we started entering the bush. One person had my passport, another had my clothes, and we're just navigating. I was just walking across, and when I walked into the Cotonou side of the border, I looked back at Nigeria, I started crying because I didn't even know what will happen to me, where am I going? Okay, my Kefion says he will look for his own copy of the tape. Yes, the Labaja tape. That's a tape that we should, if possible, reproduce for history. It's very, very important. Labaja, I doff my heart to you for the support. He's always been very quiet about whatever he does. A lot of people did things and they didn't make any noise about it, you know. So, yes, someone mentioned Mr. Kunle Ajibade. Yes, I mentioned him already with the tempo and the news. Yes, Kunle Ajibade and I were classmates when I was doing my master's. So he's been my friend forever. Yeah. So anyway, I escaped to Cotonou, but I was afraid that they might still locate me in Cotonou. So that same day, I moved to Togo. From Togo, I moved to Ghana. That was my first time ever in Ghana, July 25th, 1995. I was 35 years old then. And from Ghana, I planned how to get to London. Then I went to London.
Wow. And then it was when you got there, you reconnected with those who have been there.
Immediately, of course, Tokumba Fukuyomi was already waiting for me. He is the closest to me of all the Nadeko chieftains. And he was one who had the gods. Tokumba has loads of gods. Even when, after Abacha and Abiola died, Tokumba and I were the guinea pigs that first came back to Nigeria to find out what was happening. And we were almost arrested in Cotonou, the two of us. Wow. We went through so much. Oh, no.
What happened? Tell us that story. We want to hear the details.
You see, this is a story that I'm forcing myself not to cry. You see, what makes it painful is the way Nigerians lack appreciation for those who risk everything for the sake of all of us.
But that's the whole idea. People don't know. That's what I've sat here today.
Let me tell you, say it from now till kingdom come. Write all the books in the world. Some people will not listen, some people will not read. So I've given up on that. Whatever you've done, we did for our country and for God and for posterity. That's all. So I'm not ready for anybody to credit me. I'm not ready for anybody to praise me, but it's very painful when people sit down in the comfort of their homes. In fact, I remember Afukuyomi's wife telling us one day that she cries every time she hears or reads any of these things. That, oh, you people ran away to go and enjoy. It's not the best.
So what happened in Cotonou on your way back?
Yes, we came in. You know, we had to come on a refugee passport. And we were not allowed to travel to Nigeria. So we had to disguise and enter the country. We wanted to pay our last respects to Chief Abiola to go to his house after his death, you know. So we did that. Then we saw that politicians were already regrouping. Immediately, politicians never waste time when it comes to their personal issues, you know. So they were regrouping. Then when we finished our mission, we went back again through Cotonou. So at the airport, so the security people arrested me and Tokumbo and asked where we were going, where we got our passports from, what were we doing. And you can imagine those who wanted to come in incognito and go back incognito. We were forced to now be talking about our mission. Then the sad thing, there was one pastor, Ogunbi, I can't remember his first name now, a Nigerian, who was also traveling. I think we traveled on Brussels Air or whatever. Anyway, and the man saw us being questioned by the security people. So he came over and said, I know these guys. They are great men from Nigeria. Can you please free them? You will not believe it. The police left us and turned to the pastor and started questioning him. Yes, who are you? Bring your passport. Do you know they practically detained the man and he almost missed his flight because of us. People suffered. People who didn't even have anything to do with June 12 just suffered for nothing. People lost their business, lost their lives, lost everything. You see, but for me, the most important thing is what is the way forward. Because sometimes we're too bitter that we miss the way forward. What Abiola represented for me was a day that Nigeria would have changed, a day that would have cemented the unity of Nigeria. So when people say, Abacha did this, Abiola did that, all those stories happened. And we should learn something from that story, that never again should it happen. But we have not learned that. What happens is that government after government comes back, exhibit bitterness, exhibit vindictiveness, destroy lives, destroy more people, when what we need to move Nigeria forward is unity. That's the sad part. I am telling you, anyone who has not read A Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela should go and get that book. Anyone who does not know the story of Mandela and what made him great should please go and read. Everything is available on Google these days. Go and read the life of Mandela. Mandela wasted 27 years of his life in prison. A lot of his people were killed. A lot of his people were maimed. In fact, he lost his wife, Winnie Mandela, who I met exactly 2 months before she died, 2 years ago. He lost his wife, but he never exhibited any bitterness. Rather, he said we should all unite for the sake of South Africa. That is what Nigeria needs today. The next president of Nigeria must be a unifier, must be someone who can take something from Chief Abiola. What made Abiola great was his spirit of togetherness, of forgiveness. Despite the fact that Babangida annulled the election, Abiola wanted them to be friends. That letter was released by Tempo. Let's be friends again. It was released. Because that was Abiola. Abiola knew that Nigeria would never make progress in an atmosphere of anomy, of confusion, of breakdown of law and order. Even when you fight a war, you still come back to the table to negotiate. So why are we killing ourselves? Why are we fighting? That's what changed me. Yes, thank you. Someone said, you know, the book changed me. Yeah, the Mandela book changed me, definitely. Today, people ask me, why do you cover the wedding of Abacha's daughters? They are dead. They died. I can't continue to be bitter. Maybe I also needed to fulfill my own destiny through that process. Who knows? If I was not in exile, there would be no ovation today. I'm sure of that. And if there was ovation, it would not be in the format it is. I will not be a global brand today. So I can't live forever in the bitterness of my history, in the bitterness of my past. I can't. My religion says, forgive your enemies. If you don't want to forgive me, that's fine, but I will forgive you. There are people that I forgave that even me, I couldn't believe I could forgive them. There were people who wronged me, but I am human. I'm not God. I forgave them because that is what my religion teaches me. You cannot be a Christian. Every day, the people who abuse people on the internet, they are all Christians or Muslims, and I wonder what they gain from bitterness. In fact, you suffer more in bitterness. Bitterness.
Uncle, let me take you quickly. Let me take you quickly. I want to close up on that section before I go to the final part of the conversation on the role of the student. And I also wanted to understand the relationship that many of these guys had personally with Chief MKO before all of this happened. So you've mentioned, so for example, the student as well, what was their role, the Mayeguns, the Showores, what were the other, the Afikoyomis, the Bamidele Okpeyemis, and you know, you've talked about some of the things, but you also know some, you were close to Baba, so you knew, you had access. What were the role, the young guys? How old were they at that time? And my goal from that is that many of our not too young to run advocates need to also understand that it's not just about, you know, I've run for office 2 times, but I also understand that it's more than just contesting office. It's also staying around the corridors of power, learning things, being mentored, not learning the corruption, but learning how things work, and studying leaders, and to be able to grow from there.
Well, there was, you see, one of the greatest attributes of Abiola was his ability to connect to everybody, whether old or young. So he had a lot of people, even for a family that had a running battle with him, the Anikulapo family. Abiola was close to Dr. Bekor and Kuti, who played a major role. You had the campaign for democracy at that time. You had the Olisa Agbakobas. There's no way you can forget all those people who made their contributions, Ayobe and everybody. They all made their contributions at the time. So the students every now and then came, and one of the things Abiola liked about student unionism at that time is that they didn't come for his money. Even when he offered money, they wouldn't take it. It's not like now. That's why I was telling you that a lot of people thought, oh, Dele Momodu must have made a lot of money from Abiola. No, it wasn't true. It was not true. We were doing this. We were not doing it for Abiola. We were doing it for the future of our children and for posterity. People don't know how to make sacrifice. I was taught early in life by my mom that sacrifice is not always convenient. If you are looking for quick money, then you cannot make sacrifice. Today, advocacy has become monetized, and that is why nothing is working. If NANS calls students tomorrow now to say we're going on demonstration, nobody will listen, because you know that within 2 days something is likely to go wrong. You know, so someone said I should talk about Showore. That's it. Showore was one of those student union leaders who, right from that moment, was known to be very, very upright. And he did everything from the position of an activist till today. He hasn't changed. He has made money now. He's no longer a poor man, but he is still a conscience of the nation. You had Chief Ganifa Emi. There is no way you are going to talk about the struggle and you will not mention Chief Ganifa Emi, who was one of my own greatest mentors. A lot of people would not know that I was one of the closest people to Chief Ganifa Emi. He attended, he doesn't go to socials, he doesn't go out, he's always fighting, he's from one prison to the other. On my wedding day, I was shocked when I saw Chief Ganifa Emi at my wedding in Ijebubo. He came all the way. If I posted the pictures a few days ago, you know, I had very good relationship with these people because they knew I was committed. But a lot of people believe that, hey, to say you're an activist, you must look like a ruffian, sometimes you must look dirty. That's not true. There were people, in fact, the most difficult thing is when you have the ability to make billions cheaply from a system and you refuse. That is my idea of an activist. A man, till today, I have the opportunity to make billions from the system and I've refused. I've sacrificed everything. My children hardly see me, my wife hardly sees me, and yet I keep going. I have friends in the Buhari government, and yet I will not go to Abuja and sit down there, I said, and tell them, I need this, I need that. Never. I tell you when so I'd rather work with my hand. You know, so people don't understand what sacrifice means any longer. So they just lump all of us together. Oh, you are friends with those who. I'll greet everybody. I'm not going to say because I disagree with you, I won't greet you if I meet you. Integrity, thank you. Mandy Oriyomi, thank you so much. People don't know the meaning of integrity. Integrity is when you refuse to partake in the looting of your nation. People don't understand it. Any business I do, it's like selling garden or selling pharmacy or anything. You go there, you buy, you go. I don't have to be involved. I've never gone to anybody to say, yeah, you must come and patronize me. If you don't patronize me, I will, even if you patronize me, I will still criticize you. Because to go and buy my product, I'm not going to go stand on the street and say, when you see sinners, don't sell magazine to them. They will still sell to them, but that will not compromise me. What happens to most people is that once they enjoy patronage, then they abandon activism. I've never done that, and I won't do it.
Uncle, I want to, the final role that I want, perspective on the role will be on the wives. Alaja Kudirat gave the greatest sacrifice of all, her life. I've started read a moving tribute to her on the conversation when I was talking to her yesterday. What were some of the roles that Alaja Doyin did, Dr. Doyin Abiola did, Mrs. Bisi Abiola did, and was there any story of something that happened that you remember, maybe even from Kujarat, before, during, or post June 12th?
Well, don't forget that Chief Abiola was a master strategist. He was the Don, the boss of all bosses, what you would call the capo di tutti capi. His wives, that was part of his strategy. He had wives from different parts of Nigeria. So he had wives who could speak Igbo, wives who could speak Yoruba, wives who could speak Hausa, wives who could speak Efik. And that also helped him in his campaign. So after the demise of Alaja Simbiat, so he had only 3 wives within the premises, living within. They had their own apartment. So you had Chief Mrs. Miriam Adebisi Abiola, you had Alaja Kudirat Abiola, you had Dr. Amidat Abiola, So they were in different parts of the house, and they all had specific roles. Those who will go to the north, those who will go to the east, those who will go to the west. That was what he did. But Alaja Kudirat stood out because at that time, she was the next in line to Alaja Simbiat. So a lot of things happened, and she was a woman of courage. She put everything at risk for her husband, and she lost her life, unfortunately, in the process. And I feel for her family all the time. It's not easy to lose your father and your mother to a struggle, especially in a thankless society. Most people just move on in Nigeria. Once something goes wrong, people move on. So anyway, the wives, so he had other wives who didn't live within the precincts of his home. But everybody, there was nobody who knew Abiola who don't want to do things for Abiola.
Awesome. As I wrap up, because of our time, I have 3 more questions. First was, what were some of MKO's plan? What was some of MKO's plan for Nigeria, and are you seeing improvement in them today? That's one. Let me ask the 2 together. The second part is the people that fought, all of your generation that fought for the movement and the democracy we enjoy today. Do you think that they've been compensated enough?
Well, I will answer the first one. Abiola's main manifesto was Farewell to Poverty. It's a published book. I'm sure I will have a copy in my library. And Abiola was a welfareist. If he could spend so much of his own personal wealth on improving the lives of Nigeria, so you could imagine what his plans would be. Abiola believed in education. He believed that without education, no man could go far in life. He invested heavily in education. Abiola was the single largest donor of cash, physical cash, to about 30 universities at a time. When money was money, I think he gave 1 million each to the universities. So education was part of his farewell to poverty. Abiola believed in agriculture. In fact, Abiola Farms Limited, he had his facilities in Lagos, he had facilities in Ogun, he had in Lafiagi, in Kwara, he had in Dhaka, in Taraba State. He was going to build the biggest rice factory in Taraba at the time, So he would have invested heavily. So the diversification that we all talk about today from oil, Abiola would have been involved in it. The economy, without a strong economy, you can have dreams. Your dreams will never materialize. And that's why I was telling you that Nigeria is practicing capitalism without capital. Abiola would have been a welfareist who would have built up the capital to create welfare for the people. So without capital, there is nothing you can do. So Abiola was into all the major areas of the economy. He was the second Nigerian to discover oil in commercial quantity after Dr. Mike Adenuga Jr. Corn oil. Then next was Abiola, who discovered oil in Summit Oil International. Wow. That was the name of his company. Abiola was involved in banking. He was involved in banking and in partnership with his friends. You know, he was a partner of Major General Shehu Musa Yaradua and all of them. So they had a big bank. They owned a big bank at the time. Abiola was involved in maritime shipping. They had the African Ocean Lines Limited with Bamanga Tuko, Dr. Raymond Aleogordopesi, and Shehu Musa Yaradua. They were involved in maritime. So everything that could generate money, they were involved in it. Then, in the area of health, Abiola was one man who believed that there is no reason why Nigerians, in fact, his doctor, his closest doctor was in Nigeria, despite the fact that he has access to the best doctors in the world. Abiola relied on Dr. Orefalomo, who died last year. I was at his funeral. I was at the Christian Wake, last year. Great man. That's one man who could have given us a lot of insight into the story of God. They were particularly close. They were very, very close. So Dr. Orefalomo was one man who died with a lot of information, and I regret it because I tried to make him speak to me, but unfortunately we never had the time, and then suddenly he died. He was such a great man and such a great loss to Nigeria. So farewell to poverty was Abiola's idea of making sure that we could have wealth creation, employment opportunities, and entrepreneurship. He did everything he could. He could. On the issue of religion, Abiola, even the ethnicity, Abiola was the most tribalized Nigerian. He showed a true example of unity in the conduct of his businesses. It's not like people who just mouth unity, but they cannot demonstrate it concretely. Abiola had Concord newspapers. We had Dr. Doyin Abiola. We had Dele Giwa, who was from Edo State. We had Yakubu Muhammad. We had Tombora. We have MCK Ajuluchuku at different times. We had Stanley Ugochukwu. We had Isikak SN. And these were all most of them were non-Yorubans at the time. Chike Akabogu, Nnamdi Obasi. We had some fantastic, people working for him. Then, that was it. Someone was talking about Abiola. That was a stupid rumor that he threw the Bible in the ocean. Abiola went to school, Baptist Boys High School. How can he throw Bible in the ocean? Yes. One of those illiterate things that people talk about all the time. Was he working for the Nigerian Navy and he had a submarine to torpedo a ship or what? Abiola quotes the Bible more than the pastor. At my wedding in 1992, the first song he sang was Afope Fọlọ́run Lọ́kàn Àti Lóhùn Wa at my wedding. So how can such a man throw the Bible? Please, don't let's even go there. Anyway, that's the bit I can say about him.
My final question for you, Bobby. We've been on for 2 hours, 16 minutes. It's been an in-depth conversation. I'm happy that this will be available on YouTube. It's available on all my Facebook page. The first version is going to be on my Instagram, and the second version is also going to be on Bob D's Instagram. This is, for those who are just joining, this is the co-inspiration with Bashon Dele Momodu. For the next 12 days, we're having conversations with people like him who have been at the forefront of the June 12 movement, who fought, who paid the price, no matter how little, in the democracy or for the democracy that we enjoy today. Bashon Dele Momodu, my mentor and my big Egbon, what is the biggest personal lesson that you've learned from Chief MKO Abiola?
Well, one, you must be God-fearing. Nobody is perfect. He was very God-fearing. Two, you must be very generous. It doesn't mean that you should be stupid. In fact, one of his quotes I like is that he read in the Bible that you should love your neighbor as yourself, not more than yourself. So you should love your neighbor, but not more than yourself. He also likes to say that the hand of the giver is always on top, while the receiver is always at the bottom. So I like to give when I can, what I can. And then finally, the spirit of forgiveness. It's the most difficult thing in life is to forgive your enemy. And that's what is killing Nigeria today. We're not ready to embrace ourselves, forget the past and move forward. No. We are in total disarray. And the house divided against itself cannot stand, according to the Holy Book, the Bible. Thank you.
Someone told me a quote that Abiola was always saying, that it says that if you want to fight somebody, you cannot be outside and the person is inside. You have to tell the person to come out or go to meet the person to be able to fight with that person. What was, I was going to say it in Yoruba. Is there any famous Owe or quote or proverb that MKO was always saying?
Oh, he had a lot of them. There was one he liked to say, you cannot hide behind one finger. You cannot shave a man's head in his absence. I think that maybe that's the one the person was referring to, that to shave my head, I must be ready. I must put my head down. There's another one that if you want to know if a fish is bad, smell the head. If the head is bad, then the whole body is rotten. Then there's another one that you don't run after a madman who collected your clothes by the river bank. You are inside the river swimming, and you put your clothes out, and then a mad person comes, takes it, and is running away, and then you come out naked. Is that most people will even think you are the mad one, you know? Then there's another one that you don't stand in front of a moving train; it will crush you. He had so many. He had so many. There's a book, I have that here too. There's a book of Proverbs by Ben Okaze. Yes. Ben.
Are you going to? My final question for you, Bob G. Are you going to run again?
I don't think so. People have asked me this. You see, I understand Nigeria better now. I know my country inside out, and I'm not boasting. There are not many people who know Nigeria and who have participated in different struggles in Nigeria as me. I've been in it since I was 22. I know the country very well, very, very well. I'll give you a story, a quick story. When General Obasanjo was brought back to contest in 1999, I didn't support him because I had my reasons not to, because he was coming from a military background. So I supported Chief Falaye. This is another thing people don't know. It would have been convenient for me. I knew Obasanjo was going to win, but life is not all about winning elections. It's about principles, you know. So I supported Chief Falaye, and I didn't just support. I'm a very practical supporter. I advised him that if he was going to pick a northern vice president, he should look for a very educated person from the north. And he asked me who I had in mind, and I said Dr. Rilwan Lukman, who was at OPEC in Vienna. And little me, I spent my little resources to go to Vienna. Nobody paid me for it, to go and scout for a vice president for Chief Falaye. And when I got to Vienna, Dr. Rilwan Lukman declined. He said he can't do it. I asked why. He said, look, the owners of Nigeria who control Nigeria have decided that it's Obasanjo they want. I said, but we haven't done the election. He said, I should forget it. I learned a lesson that day. He saw me off to the airport. When we got to the airport, he told me, he said, I should thank Chief Falaye for considering him. He said, but he won't waste his time. So I'm not going to waste my time to contest the next election when I know that the owners of Nigeria are the ones that will still determine who will be the president of Nigeria. That's what happened. If the owners of Nigeria, you could see that even with all the principles of Buhari contested 3 times. He lost 3 times. Why? Because he could not persuade the owners of Nigeria. That's one. Saints don't win elections. You still need the services of bad people. So saints and sinners always come together, because election is a game of number. So when you see people say, oh, next election, where we are going to have a young person. It is not as simple as that. I've gone through it. One, for you to contest, if I decide to contest today, it means I must have the ticket of either APC or PDP in whatever form they are at the time, because you don't know if they will implode and they will change their nomenclature again. So I will not waste my time going to a fringe party, a third, fourth, 5 feet party. It's a waste of time and resources. You need a lot of money to contest presidential election anywhere in the world. And Nigerians are not the type that will make contributions. If people made our youth who say they want a young person make contributions to Showore or to Felado or to Mogadu or any of them at that time, I am telling you, they would have made appreciable impact. So where do you get the money to even to pay your agents nationwide? Will cost you billions. Agents on polling day, the agents alone will cost you billions of money. Why? Because without your agent, they will steal your votes. Nothing will happen. Even the police, people mobilize police, they will mobilize security forces, they will mobilize everybody. That's why it is such an expensive business, and that is why only the rich, until Buhari had the rich people behind him, he couldn't win election in Nigeria. He couldn't.
Uncle, I think that everybody needs to actually have the experience of contesting. I think that until you contest, you never really understand the dynamic. I have done 2 elections.
But
now,
I told you,
and my mindset
did you not talk to me? Did I not tell you were wasting your time?
Yeah, but it was a good learning experience.
You have even made progress. At least you are in government now. You have made progress. That's another thing.
Yes.
One, you must be in the right party. You must know the party of your people. So you were smart not to have left APC. You were with them. Even when even when they disappointed you, you just went home quietly to go and cry in your bedroom. You understand? So you didn't fight them publicly. And you are such a brilliant guy. You are a genius. And I'm not trying to patronize you. You are a brilliant, your brain, if you continue to use it positively, trust me, the sky is not even your limit. You are the future of Nigeria. I see that in you because you are doing what some of us did then, but we were not open-eyed enough to start contesting early. I think that was part of our own error. So today, a lot of people don't respect us because they've never seen us in government. In Nigeria, once you have never been in government, people think you are nobody. So even the media, when I was contesting, most of them thought I was joking because they were not used to seeing journalists say they want to become president of a country. So I can assure you that in my own case, I won't waste my time unless I'm drafted by one of the mainstream parties. That is not impossible. Because
one of the owners of Nigeria.
I combine, if the owners of Nigeria feel now that, okay, they want someone who combines South-South with Southwest. My father is Edo, my mom is Osun. So that's a very strategic thing. I'm selling myself now. So the owners of Nigeria, if you are watching.
You never know who is watching.
If the owners of Nigeria are watching, I'm selling myself. I'm the only person I know who combines South-South and South. Don't worry, I can deliver both for you. I'm available.
And you have all the global international connection as well.
God has helped us with that too.
Ladies and gentlemen, I've been speaking to Bashorun Dele Momodu, the founder of Ovation Group, who has taken the magazine from his exile base in England to the whole globe. He's featured anybody that you can imagine. I have not met any Nigerian who have met as much world leaders aside from presidents and heads of state as much as Bob D. Dele Momodu. I do not know a living soul. If you have met somebody, please present the person to me. And you know, I'm so grateful to God. I look up to him a lot. I mentor him. So when people look at me and how I've met a lot of world leaders, I interact, I have access. It was all inspired to the glory of God by the life of Bob D. It has been great talking to you. I want to say a big thank you to you, to Antiquality, for living.
I must tell you, my brother, that you've done very well. You know, as Shiwaju, DAYO ISRAEL. What's your latest title, Bashorun? What is your latest title?
I have to pick that. You see,
Okay.
Momodu is
Well, I
my
must
mentor.
thank you.
I have to
Seriously,
take
I must
back.
thank you for your hard work. I've been watching you. I monitor you. I see what you are doing. And I've said it. Sky is not even your limit. I am very confident that you will be a major leader of your generation. And you will succeed where we probably did not, by the grace of Almighty. I wish you well. Take good care.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you, sir. You
Thank
too,
you.
sir.
Bye-bye.
God bless you. Thank you, Mike Effiong, and all the people who have watched the show.
Yes,
We're
my
very
friend
grateful to all of
Effiong,
you.
immediately, please, our Zoom meeting must go on. We were supposed to start at 2, but Dayo didn't let us start. So, Mr. Effiong,
I'm
I'm
so
ready for you.
sorry.
Let me have a quick breakfast. I haven't had breakfast today. It's even lunch time. Okay.
Yes, it's lunchtime now. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir.